Hello and welcome back to another installment of Fishy Film Fridays. We're so happy to be back after our very contemplative Lenten season, and we just want to wish everyone out there who's a member of this podcast, this Catholic podcast, we want to welcome you all and say Happy Easter. He is risen, and my co-host mates respond with the phrase,
And also with you.
I'm with your spirit.
He is risen indeed.
Oh, I
Oh,
actually missed
Okay, fuck you
Easter, so
guys.
that was the most.
Before we get further into the content of the pod, I want to lead us off by saying, first of all, rest in peace, Pope Francis. Second of all, rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Third of all, rest in peace, George Foreman. Fourth of all, rest in peace, George Floyd. And fifth of all, rest in peace, George Zimmerman. Um,
That rocks.
Today, we will be discussing 1988's Another Woman, directed by the inimitable, the esteemed, the highly not canceled Woody Allen. Uh, let's get into it. First of all, let's get some tap-ins from my boys. Let's start with Mr. Foreign, Mr. Hafazani on the plane, J Red. How you?
half a Zanny on a plane. Good to be back. Good to be back. It is definitely difficult being overseas when you lose the head of the church. So Pope Francis, you guide us through rough times, and hopefully we can guide ourselves through these couple weeks while we decide our next papal leader.
Any
And
guesses on who the big guy's gonna be? The next one,
The
Jared.
bitch with the penis in Conclave.
oh, the bitch with the penis. I was thinking the Filipino cardinal, who could also potentially be referenced, as Danny said.
Interesting. I'll have to
A
look
little
him
lady
up.
boy joke.
I think we're ready for a
And
female pope. I think the world's ready.
well, you,
I
you
think it
saw the
should be like Kamala
protests.
or something.
They're doing like a sit-in next week during the conclave. Suppose there's like
Women
female
are?
Catholics demanding this. They're going to try to do a
More like
sit-in at
sit
the
on my
Vatican.
dick.
Oh yeah, sit on that communion. You know
That
why they have
wafer.
those? You know why
That
they kneel
wafer
in
thin
church?
penis that I got.
Listen,
You know why they kneel in church?
we watched a a female perspective movie, and this is the kind of stuff we're gonna talk. We're gonna say,
Directed by a male.
right? But I'd argue,
Anyway, okay, that was Jared's tap in. Let's hear from Tim. Timmy, how you doing?
what up?
Damn
Um,
it.
You could say I got a Woody this episode.
For who? Mia or Gina? Or Jean?
No, for Woody.
Jean? Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm excited.
What's his woman's name? Sung Hao?
Soon Yi,
Maybe
which I think we should get into sort of that Woody Allen timeline at least at some point during this because it's a little.
let's do it now if you know it, Tim.
I don't know it that well,
Well,
so I would like to learn.
I mean, okay, he's been making movies since like the late '60s at this point, but now it's the late '80s, so he's obviously changed his film style. We can get into that later. But in terms of his relationship, he's married to Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow is pregnant in this film
With his baby.
with his baby. That is a real
Holy
pregnancy.
shit. Okay, that's good fact.
He already knows Soon Yi because Soon Yi was adopted already, not by him. And this is
How old is she at this moment?
oh, she's like 15,
So right before it starts.
probably. Yeah, because it was like right when she went off to college. Soon Yi did. And then this is allegedly around. This is sort of as a sour note. This is allegedly when Woody is right about to or currently molesting his separate adopted daughter, Dylan Farrow.
Sunyi would be 18 in this film when it was released, so 17 during production.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But this is right around the time Woody's allegedly being a pedophile. So let's just keep that in mind. And maybe,
Right around the same time that allegedly Mia Farrow was throwing black children down the stairs
right.
for
I
not
mean,
doing their
Mia Farrow's a
chores.
psychopath. She adopted like 15 children while being a movie star. So maybe, I don't know.
Do you think Woody and Kevin Spacey were at like co-molestation parties?
Epstein
I
Island.
don't think they're either of them in the party type, really.
Oh,
Well,
Woody was a.
They're
Kevin.
not, these aren't Sean Combs guys.
Oh,
These are old school molesters.
That's true.
This isn't, this
after
isn't like,
party, like a one-on-one presence.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, not an exhibitionist as we learned through the Voyeur
Yeah, I don't
theory.
think for them it's like not as much of a power thing, I think, as it is for Sean Combs.
Mm.
I mean, Woody is attracted to children, and he literally groomed someone from birth. 2 people allegedly he groomed. But that's
But
chill.
is he attracted to children if he's still with Sun Yi?
I mean, who's to say? Who's to say? He's
Mia Farrow kind of looks a bit crazy
There's
to
stuff
me.
in the old films
Yes,
where
100%.
he's like, "Oh, they were twins, and like they were 14, and they were twins," like that sort of stuff,
Yeah,
which sort of gives off this guy might actually just be a pedophile.
for
I
sure.
think it's in
And
many.
then he did a good PR move and stuck with the one that he had last.
Yeah, he stuck with the consensual
Yeah.
situation.
Consensual. Can consent be given under a groomed scenario? I don't know.
She
Well,
thinks so.
that was some good history there, Tim. That was helpful. I didn't really think about any of that, honestly.
That history degree
Because
is really coming into play.
I'm kind of like he did bad stuff, but is he still one of the greatest living filmmakers? Yes.
For sure, like, separating the art from the artist, the classic give and take. And especially, these artists in the 70s, they got away with a lot of shit. That
I'm
comes
actually not separating them. I'm just saying his art's good enough that we still have to watch it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sure. Films are
I,
amazing.
I, I agree with Danny on that.
What's your history with Woody films, both of you?
Well, I am not much of a Woody guy as you guys are. I'm looking just through some filmography that he had.
It's so many, it's impossible.
Yeah, I remember Match Point. That was a really random one that I knew about.
I don't know
Um,
that one.
Yeah.
yeah,
But also they all have names that are like thoroughly forgettable
Well, the
names.
thing is, he's put out a film every year since 1971 or some shit. Like, the man is prolific.
I do have some very fond memory. I have a very fond memory of watching Woody Allen with Tim in Massachusetts one time. We speed ran Midnight in Paris, and
Oh,
that's a good
yeah.
core memory of mine,
oh,
actually.
Melinda and Melinda with Will Ferrell. I remember this one now.
What?
I didn't know
Yes.
Jared, you're really
Well, that must be a more newer Woody.
Oh four. Yeah, I know 21st century Woody. I'm not much of a 80s, 70s Woody.
wow. That's actually the worst answer one could
Danny,
possibly
what's
give.
your history with Woodward?
I think I'm guessing that you know more of his work than I do. I'm actually not a huge Woody Allen guy. I've seen like the big ones.
Yeah.
Um,
No, same.
so yeah. Now, I guess my answer to this question is going to actually be a nice segue into my next question, which is so my experience of this film for the first time was that I had a roommate who decided he was going to watch every Woody
Oh,
Allen
Jesus.
movie. And I walked into the living room and this movie was like, we were 3 minutes in, let's say. And he's like, oh, I just started this movie. And I was like, okay, fuck it. Sat down, watched the movie. I was like, that shit was good.
Mm.
And then he goes, guess who made it? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I missed the first 3 minutes. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to guess. Not guessing right. And then he's like, Woody Allen. And I was like, oh, because I was still scandalized by these
Right.
things, you
True,
know?
true.
And it was crazy because like usually Woody Allen's in his
Yeah.
movies. Usually Woody Allen movies are kind of funny, and like this is none of those things. And so I didn't even know, and I loved it, and I was like blown away by that it was Woody. So
Wow.
that's my answer. So have you, either of you seen this movie before?
No, I
Nope.
hadn't seen this.
No.
And I mean, I only, so like Woody has 3 phases where it's like in the beginning, he's a comedian. He's sort of this lovable rube, very neurotic. And then he starts making these very serious, introspective films in the 80s, in the late 80s and the 90s. And then the 2000s, now he's just kind of like stubborn and nostalgic. Like he makes all these films about the past almost. And so
As old men
I
do.
hadn't seen any from the second coming of Woody. And so this was very interesting. I had no idea really he
Yeah,
had
I'd
this
have to look
spin.
at the list of what that breakdown is. That was an interesting breakdown, though.
That's what somebody said. I read that somewhere.
I almost accidentally watched the wrong movie for this. I almost
Really?
watched The Other Woman, which was in 2014 with Kate Upton and Cameron Diaz. And part of me wishes I would have stuck with that.
It was also called Another Woman.
No, it was called The Other Woman, not Another
Oh,
Woman. And when I didn't see Woody Allen, I realized that was my red flag.
oh,
I
Nicki
almost purchased
Minaj
it.
is in that apparently.
Sounds like it would have been a better choice. Much better to look at least.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's a good intro to Woody. I think we kind of covered everything right there, right? We
Sure,
feeling good
sure,
about that?
sure.
Okay, so this movie, it's going to star Marion. Well, it's going to star Gena Rowlands as Marion Post. Gena Rowlands, one of the greatest women to ever grace the screen. Then we've
She
got
was
Ian
familiar, but I didn't
Holm.
really know what she was in. She was in The Notebook. She played like a mom, I guess.
No, I think her most famous is, I believe it's A Woman Under the
Oh,
Influence with
yes.
by John Cassavetes. That's the one that she's like, that's the magnum opus
Her
for her
goaded,
and for Cassavetes.
her
Yeah.
goaded moment. She's dead.
Um,
Rest in peace. She died August 14th, 2024. So rest in peace, Gina.
Rest in peace,
Add her
Gena
to the
Rowlands as
list.
well. I kind of feel bad that she didn't make the list.
It's all right.
Um, then we've got Ian Holm, who's playing Marion slash Gina's husband, whose name is Ken. Then we've got Mia Farrow playing a woman named Hope. And then our fourth big name is Gene Hackman, who's playing Larry, who's kind of like Marion's ex-lover. Yeah, rest in peace, Gene.
Oh,
Uh,
you miss another. I thought she was worth a big name.
the 6 Feet Under mom.
The Blythe Danner. Yeah.
Is that her name?
Is she? I don't know. 6 feet under.
She's such a minor role.
She was in Meet the Fockers as Robert De Niro's wife.
What's her name? Blake
Sure.
Thander?
Blythe Danner.
Blythe
I also thought,
Danner.
yeah, I thought she was also the mom from National Lampoon, and then I was wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the wrong timeline of history there.
Yeah, but
Cool.
Blythe Danner,
Yeah,
pretty big
yeah,
name.
I did point at the screen for her for sure.
Yeah.
So we begin with Marion. We're introduced to Marion, who is Gena Rowlands' character. Marion is in her 50s. She's a professor of philosophy
Hell yeah.
at a
Pathetic.
women's college, and we can assume it's in the
It's got to be
Northeast around New
Bryn right? It's
York.
got to be Bryn
No, no, she went to Bryn Mawr. I would think that maybe she's at like
Swarthmore,
no, what's that one that Hillary Clinton went to?
not
Starts
Williams.
with a
It's like
W.
near Williams.
Let's see.
Not Wellesley. Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley or something. Wellesley. Yeah, Jared's onto it.
Wellesley
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a school like that.
in
I bet
Massachusetts.
I bet her department would be defunded today. Seen her work
She did
ethic.
German philosophy. I would say that's not very open to
But
DEI.
but they
Um,
they mentioned at one point like Philadelphia in passing, like she
yes, they
hooked.
had their.
They had their affair in Philadelphia, so wouldn't it make sense that maybe they live outside of Philadelphia? She.
No, no, they're in New York, and then it's a big deal that they would go to
Oh,
Philadelphia. The
okay.
reason that it was in Philadelphia is because she did her college studies at Bryn
I
Mawr, which is
see.
outside of Philly. Yeah,
Mm.
they're definitely in New York. It's important that they're in New York.
Yep.
And set the stage. Why she got like this apartment? I was kind of want to get that clarified.
Oh, so yes. So she's a woman. She's a philosophy professor at a
She's a
women's college.
woman. That's
She's
good.
on sabbatical, and so she's supposed to be writing a book. And there's construction near her home. That means that she needs an office to get quiet to focus on.
Incredible 1970s like leasing like
Oh,
values in
this
New
woman
York
is.
City. You can just be on a philosopher's salary, and get an
Well, I mean, she seems
office.
to be a big deal, and that's a good school, so I would assume she's making pretty good
She's a
money there. But
BFD.
yeah, she's got family wealth, as we see.
I feel like it'd be tough to,
No
yeah, family,
kids.
and probably the family wealth that could be justifying it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, her. She
No, it
seemed
is
to
pretty
have.
crazy to lease an apartment. That's like some tar shit, actually.
Yeah, she had a
Hmm.
super privileged upbringing. It seemed like lived in the countryside.
Vacation
Her
house, all
father's a
that.
historian, and
The brother could be like a scam artist, painter, whatever he
yeah,
wanted
like
to
he can fuck
be.
around because it doesn't matter really. Although he ends up being sort of, he needs money during this film.
Yeah, he's kind of the flop of the son. A fail son, as they say. So yes, she gets an apartment to write, to focus on her work.
As a philosopher, do you think that that would be helpful? Renting
Yeah,
another
100%.
a place to go write?
Yeah, I can't write in my house personally,
Mm.
but I just use cafes like every other laptop worker in the world. So or my college library. Let's see. She's on her second marriage and she has a stepdaughter. That's other relevant information. But yes, the main plot device is that she needs a quiet office. So she goes to this office and
She's
she
got
starts
writer's block, kind
overhearing.
of, right?
Yeah, she's also going through like sort of an existential malaise where she's like, "Oh, I
Mm.
don't like to delve into my life." That's like the first sentence of the movie. Um, and yeah, she said she needs to shut out everything but the work, is what she says about the writer's block situation. So she is in her new office and she overhears a therapy conversation about a man having gay fantasies. Remember this part? That was kind of fun, right? That was very Woody Allen coded shit. And so she attempts to soundproof her new office with pillows. But then she falls asleep on her typewriter, which that is my favorite shot of the whole movie, actually, is her asleep on the typewriter.
Have you done that on your laptop keyboard?
No, I'm not no. Um,
You're usually laying
I haven't
down in
fallen
bed.
asleep like on a desk since high school.
Yeah, that would hurt my neck and back. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
It's
yeah.
like sleeping on a plane seat when I mean
Dude, the
Jared.
people who do that on the plane
Oh, I do
put their
that.
head
I mean Jared's in first
on the
class, so
tray.
he's fine. But some
I
of us normal
wish,
people
dude.
put our
Fucking,
heads on the. I do the tray
fucking
move, and yes, it does hurt the neck, but that's the best way to get
flew
some
economy
Z's.
around the world. I literally circumnavigated the world in economy. I was like a servant on Magellan's ship. How I felt.
You're like Sun Yi.
I don't think you can say circumnavigated if you're not doing the navigation.
I was a passenger. I'm no circumnavigating is like how you transit. I could navigate the circumnavigation. That's if I was like the pilot.
Did you watch this movie on a plane?
No, thank goodness.
You gotta have internet connection for Tubi.
Yeah.
Just shell out a couple bucks to watch Tubi.
No, I had the internet pass, but like the streaming sucks on these internet.
Yeah.
It's cross Pacific, dude. I'm actually disappointed how like Starlink and all of our satellite like internet does not work well on flights yet. Still, yeah,
Yeah,
disappointing.
I can see that.
I wonder what Woody would think.
What do you think? So Marion falls asleep on the typewriter, and then she hears the woman saying some sad things through the vent, and she's more intrigued by this than the man having the gay fantasies, right?
Yep.
Cool.
I think
That's kind
it's
of the main plot.
clear that it's sort of revealed later on, but like she's the voice for her, right? This woman in
Yes.
the other room, she's saying the things that Marion is feeling.
Yes, and so Marion starts to now spiral from this point. She begins to introspect in the same way that this woman is, we might say. Yeah, 100%. And then we cut to a party
I
scene,
like
and
this
we
scene.
hear. You like this scene? You want to talk about it, Tim?
Well, first off, everyone was wearing gray, which they do throughout the film, right? Everybody's wearing gray.
What's
Or
that
like
supposed to
earth,
mean?
like very muted
I mean, it's
beiges and
very on
shit.
Yeah.
the nose, these neutral tones, right?
Was that supposed to symbolize, or were we just talking this as a period piece?
No, I think it's definitely symbolism of maybe Marion's outlook on life or her current state. You know, she's at a 50-year-old's birthday party. Everyone's talking about, oh, I turned 50. This is the worst thing. At least I don't have to turn 50 again. You know, all these people are dealing with their mortality in some way. And so, what would you think wearing gray is all about? Why would Woody do that? Why would he have every character wear gray?
I thought that it was demonstrate if we're going to try to reach for symbolism, I saw it as like he sees these people as not being like decisive opinion individuals. Because I dislike a lot of the dialogue here because it seems like every single thing the person says isn't like a strong conviction. It's a very like neutral opinion that they try to qualify just a little bit at a time, but not try to offend too much. And her husband's very guilty of that.
Yeah, her husband for sure. Other people do have. She's very
Blunt.
strong in her opinions, as is
She is
Larry, as is the two
Lydia.
actor people. Yeah, but yeah, her husband for sure. For
Yeah.
me, I think Tim is probably right on the color outfits thing. I do think Jared's kind of right though about the period piece type thing as well. That like I think that people of that echelon of society are dressing rather
Neutral.
conservatively in order to camouflage their
That's
wealth,
crazy. I
perhaps.
will say the 80s fashion is it looks so comfortable. Those sweaters and everything's really like cotton based and seems really snug and cozy.
Yeah,
Did
I
you?
like the vibes of the outfits
Yeah,
in the
that
movie,
style's
honestly.
almost come back almost.
Yeah.
Not with the
Yeah.
suits and stuff, but I don't
No,
know.
yeah, I do see a lot of girls on the train with like a cardigan on and shit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But a bunch of 50-year-olds at a party, it's got to smell crazy in there. Probably smells like cough drops and lint. And they
I
also,
think 50 is younger than you think it
well, they
is.
they also all look way older than 50.
Yeah.
I felt that they all were
Yeah, a
pushing
bit.
it, which we've made a note on the conversation where people back at then looked a lot older than they do now. I mean, Gene Hackman.
Oh my gosh.
Gene Hackman is a catch in this
He's like
film.
a sex figure in this movie, and like,
Yeah, he looks like he could be a plumber.
And the kissing is so like
do you think they had an intimacy coordinator for this movie at all? Like, does Woody Allen have
Woody is
that,
the
or
intimacy coordinator. Oh, Jesus, just give him a kiss. And then he practices on them.
Yeah, the kisses are awkward. But
if
okay,
Woody
so
Allen
this is
showed
actually
up
a
and
good
was
segue into what
dating,
happens at the party, which is that there's a
okay,
discussion about their sex lives, and one
hmm
couple shares that they had sex on the floor, and Marion says to her husband, "Oh, why don't you take me on the floor?" And he's like, "I don't really see you as a
Wow.
hardwood floor kind of girl." Yeah, so
He's
she's in a sexual rut as well, and we also learn that maybe she's a little bit stuck up. She won't have sex on the floor, right?
Marion
what's
won't.
your
Unimportant.
what's
What?
your opinions about the floor? Are you comfortable doing it? Like,
Yeah, I do it in the air. I'll do it in the sea. I'll do it up there, and I'll do it with me.
is it preferred? Is it preferred?
I'll do it in the air.
I don't think it's preferred, but
Would it add
it
would it
definitely
add
adds spice.
spiciness?
Yeah. Come
I don't
on
know. It
now.
sounds like
Him
it
and
just.
his girl were on the flight with Katy Perry doing it in the air.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Sick,
You
bro.
don't think it adds a little spice, Jared?
I think it adds a little bit. I just also
Do it on the
feel like
pizza. Do it on the pizza oven.
the table. I think the table is better than the floor, but then you eat on the table.
What a carpeted floor.
Oh, not on
No,
like
carpeted floor can be dangerous.
not a linoleum or what is that how you say
Linoleum.
it? Linoleum.
Linoleum's fine, yeah, but you can get rug burn if you do it on the
Well, she
carpet.
said she got a
Uh,
splinter. She said you got to watch
Oh,
out
did
for
she really? I thought that
splinters.
was maybe a joke. Oh, and they're like, "Oh, the plumber walked in, and I said, here's the pipe to fix or something."
That was good. And then the guy crossed himself, apparently.
Yeah, that was
I like
funny.
that dialogue. That's very funny.
That was like the only one that was like that kind of, actually. Yeah. It's to throw you off guard before he gets real serious. And the seriousness continues in the next scene where the woman from 6 Feet Under, whatever her weird ass name is, shows up to talk
Lydia.
to
Is that
Marion,
is that Ken's sister or Marion's sister-in-law
Marion's sister-in-law,
from her brother?
from her brother.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this woman reports to Marion that her brother actually hates her.
Yeah, and Marion acts like it's a big surprise.
She's like, you're just saying crazy things because you're going through a divorce and you want money. Let's put this aside. You don't mean it.
But it shows that Marion
Um,
really isn't aware of how she's treating others or how others maybe perceive her.
yes, 100%.
She's a good
So this
line.
is
She's a good line here where she's like, I make it a habit to not get in these types of conversations. Marion
I
says that.
actually liked that line.
I
Like
like
I
that
wish I
too.
ripped that out more
That's
often.
a banger.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
But
I'm above this shit.
she's like, just let me know how much money you want and I'll talk it over with my husband.
Oh, that
After this
wasn't
woman just
Lydia.
wrecked her.
Yeah, I was
What,
thinking of her
Jared?
actress. I was thinking of her actress friend. That's my
Oh,
bad.
yeah, that's later. So my first question is, are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you think someone in your family hates you?
My immediate family likes me. I mean, we all talk
Oh,
about each other behind
I
our
don't know. So
backs.
maybe think beyond immediate family, number one. And then number two, you guys are both maybe joining families at some point, which could double the odds
oh,
of this.
oh, that's a good point. Um, I don't know about hate. I would say there's probably some contempt and jealousy, but like full on hate.
Jealousy, classic Jared.
Well, you don't think
Sorry,
people are
keep
jealous?
going. I'm sorry.
You don't think people are jealous of you, Dan? Me?
No.
Hmm. Yeah, no. I think there's just some contempt, jealousy, and sometimes disapproval. I would say
Do you
if
want
there's
to
anyone
share
that hates,
more?
it'd probably
Are
be
these from within your
cousins.
family or outside of your family? Is this the merging of
I'm
families or your
saying
side?
within the family.
Within
Within
the
the
family.
family. Like I would say
Oh,
there's definitely some first cousins I would say probably hate and like despise. But like immediately brothers and sisters, probably just a little bit of like contempt here and there of like viewpoints on the world. I think there's some hate
I feel like
between
resentment, I think, is normal
yeah,
between
yeah.
siblings. Yeah.
Yeah.
but you
But
look
nothing like
past that. You try to look
Yeah.
past
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
It's
first
very
cousins, definitely, that's fair game for hate, I think.
emerging family, I don't think so. I think they're more so confused who I am. Because like there's not a character really like me. I guess the one who's closest like me is kind of like an oddball who like is a
Yeah,
passport
you're
bro.
like
So that's
Kramer. You're kind of like a Kramer to them.
I am a little bit of a Kramer. Kramer would be a passport bro, I bet. If like he did like Kramer abroad. That'd been a funny
That's a good
reboot. Like
No,
spinoff. Why
Kramer's more
didn't he?
van life.
Why didn't?
like Kramer
Why didn't
Kramer
Kramer?
goes to the Philippines and comes back.
Yeah, why didn't he get a spinoff? Like, what the heck? Why didn't? Why did he just fall off the face of the earth?
Well, that one guy wanted to put his cell phone away at that comedy club.
I was waiting for
What do you?
yeah.
What do you mean?
This is rude, man.
Yeah.
How about you, John?
I don't think any. No, I mean, I don't. I only am really in touch with close family. I don't really have extended family. Like, I don't have any cousins necessarily. No first cousins, I should say.
Is there any like contempt for any matriarchal type characters
No,
or
everybody
anything?
gets along. No one hits each other. It's all good. You know, family talk about each other behind our each other's backs. Maybe we're venting like, "Oh, I didn't like how this person did this," but you know, it's all surface level, and that's just how relationships work. You know, you're not always going to get along with people.
Okay, Danny, I'm going to elaborate on this question. So, what about within like your parental figures? Do you see like true hate between them and their like immediate siblings and whatnot? Like any uncles,
Well, I
aunts?
mean, my mom has a sister that she doesn't speak to.
My mom also has
And I
siblings who
think,
were on non-speaking
actually,
terms with
same.
it.
I think that was a big
When
thing.
does that
I
happen?
think that was a big thing in the last century where people would just cut the fuck off other people. Like,
I
What?
think there was like a period of like liberation and then like the rise of like psychologizing
oh,
that led to both like the wave of divorce and the like cutting off
wow. I
problematic
think that's so
siblings.
true.
Yeah.
I also think it's really hard to like remove yourself entirely from people's lives now,
Oh,
even though they
And
have
yet,
access to those same mediums.
I mean, I haven't seen that ant in fucking who knows how long, 15 years.
shout out Aunt Dolores, you know, RIP.
I don't know that any of, to answer my own question, if I may, I don't know that anyone in my family hates me, but they might hate, like, I'm sort of like not the most, I'm not the most like active family member. And
Right.
so there might be like, some
Danny
hatred for like
Danny doesn't want to
wishing
be a
that they
part
could
of
have
this
more of
family.
me. What?
Hmm. Danny doesn't want to be a part of this family. Do you think they get that vibe sometimes?
Yeah,
Hmm. Have you ever
but I
worried
don't think
that
it's
your
hatred for me. It's hatred
have you
about
ever
like my
worried
my
that like
relationship to them.
have you ever worried that your parents are like afraid that you think they're embarrassing?
Probably.
Yeah.
Wait, are you ever, your parents are afraid they think that you're embarrassing?
No,
That
no,
you
like
think they're embarrassing.
yeah, like
Oh,
my,
no, I don't. My parents are embarrassing. I'm not two. Like, you get
Jared and I
over,
have embarrassing
you stop
parents.
getting. Oh, that's, I mean, people,
yeah, but there's some bad things parents can say after a while in front of people that are like, uh-oh.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
They know better.
Yeah. That's a part of growing up, I
And then
think.
we get a weird cut. So then after this interaction with the family member where we learn that maybe Marion isn't such a great person, uh, she overhears the same woman as before through the vent, and we get a hard cut to Marion in the past making out with Gene Hackman, whose name is Larry,
Yep.
at a party. And this action, this flashback, is paralleling what Marion is hearing in the present day, the woman talking about through the vent.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's
So
great.
that's like a pretty sophisticated storytelling move that goes on right
Absolutely.
there. Yeah.
And the way Woody's playing with time here is pretty impressive.
Yes, definitely. So, we learned that Marion and Larry have a thing, even though Marion is about to marry Ken, who's her current husband in the current day. Um, Ken's ex also shows up at this party to drop off her things and
Fucked
causes a
up.
big old scene.
She knew what she was doing. She was just causing a scene.
And Larry is trying to win Marion over, even though he's best friends with Ken, which is also crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked up. What?
There's a lot going on here, and then Larry's making fun of Ken to Marion, saying like, "Oh, did you see how he handled that barging in? He's so civilized. Like, do you want a man that's like that?"
Hmm.
Uh,
That's a crazy scene. You guys have any thoughts about that?
I thought that was funny how Gene Hackman, like, you could see him like thinking to the side when that scene occurred, like, ooh, I'm
Uh.
gonna use this later. Very good facial acting.
Oh, yeah. He's acting is impeccable. I like the
Yeah,
line when the ex-wife comes in. She says something like, "Oh, adultery with the philosophy professor while her wife is in the hospital getting her ovaries removed." I mean, that's ruthless to whip.
Very ruthless.
And it's
That's like
odd.
some
And also
John Edwards type shit.
she makes a comment that some of these people used to be my friends, and it's obvious they chose Ken over her. If none of them really are a friend anymore, it's like when you have
Yeah,
friends that break up, and then you're just like, oh, this happened in Curb, but it's like, oh, we picked Cheryl in Curb, right? When you
right.
divorce somebody. I mean, that happened.
luckily, I think with this friend group, I'm not too worried about that. If there's ever any separation, the
Well, yeah,
champ's
because we're
cool and
not
all.
friends with each other's partners in like a deep way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool, they're here when we're doing weekend visits or something.
Yeah, that would
I
be.
do have a set of friends where I do fear that.
I like Rebecca, but I'm not. Or that might be a dox. I like your girl, but I'm not choosing her over you, bro.
Thanks, man.
No, I've
Um,
had that issue where it's like a big friend group and everybody's friends with both of them, and then there was a breakup, and it's like, oh,
friend says that's what happens.
yeah, it's
Yeah, that happened to me in high school, but I actually haven't had that many mixed gender friend groups in a while.
You've been dating mixed genders, is what you said?
Well, yes, but no, that's not what I said.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay.
like you have to have a sufficiently large friend group for this to even become an
That's
issue.
true.
And I don't really function as friend group oriented social life anymore. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
mm. That you're very selective who gets to come to major events in your life. So, like, I get that. That's totally fine.
No, it's just like I don't know. I don't know. Friend group, it's a weird dynamic.
yeah, I agree.
So, okay, but this is a good point to make it relevant to our own lives. So,
I wonder
like,
how that works in swinger environments. Like, does that one
Oh,
person get ousted? Because that group there gave me a lot of like polyamorous couples vibes
yeah, all
there.
of them wearing
except they're
gray.
so sexless.
They're sexless, but they are obsessed with sex somewhat still too.
Oh my God, wow, banger. That was a very Woody Allen comment.
Yeah, that was a banger.
Oh,
Um, okay, but imagine you found out 20 years down the line that at the Army Navy game, I was like, hey Rebecca, like, let's go sneak off. Like, you really want a guy who
Oh,
throws an
that's so
unsuccessful tailgate on a
fucked.
boat, or do you want me?
That's so fucked up.
Like,
unsuccessful
what would you
tailgate.
do?
I'm more mad about you saying my tailgate was unsuccessful.
And then,
It was,
But like, imagine, like, that's so out of pocket. Like, Larry is being out of
yeah,
pocket.
and
bro. That's how people get murdered.
is the party
That is
celebrating
how
their
people get murdered.
marriage? Is the
The
party
party,
celebrating their
yeah, I
marriage?
think
It's like
so.
what
It's like
is
an engagement, but it's a week prior to their wedding.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not the welcome party. I'm trying to plan one of those now. Like, you don't do that far out. It's like the day before
Maybe
the
is there a
rehearsal.
lot of money?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, he's out of pocket. Like, but that's what men do. They go crazy for pussy and then they blow shit up, you know?
mm,
And you're right, Jared. That's the number one scenario where death happens is when a
Yeah,
man's
like,
mad about the pussy situation.
yeah.
You know?
And possibly kill them both.
Yep.
Then kill
Yep.
himself.
100%. John, you
Hey,
anything to weigh in on about men hitting on other men's
that's
women?
diabolical. I mean, it's dastardly.
It's
have you ever?
dastardly.
Yeah.
I think it's dastardly even to do it when you don't know the guy. But if you're friends with the guy, one of your closest friends, that is like
Now you see why Keith isn't involved in my life.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's fair, honestly.
But but if it's
Moving past that
As
before
this,
if
Jared
that
does
Gene
something about.
Hackman,
as the saying goes.
if it's
Oh, sorry.
Gene Hackman is the one who's like trying to take her away, maybe the guy
I'd
would have been
argue
like,
Keith and Gene Hackman are kind of on the same level.
Wait,
maybe I
current?
should just
Except Gene Hackman's much more suave.
yeah, no, Gene Hackman has intellect. The other one just like goes and shoots crows in like West Virginia for money.
Wait, current Gene
If he's still
Hackman?
harboring resentment.
Current Gene Hackman or past Gene Hackman?
Well,
Gene Hackman's
actually, like
character in this
2.5
movie and
months ago, Gene Hackman,
Dementia Hackman.
as he was laying out in the bathroom, R.I.P., and his dog was
No,
dying,
he was in the mud room. The wife was in the bathroom.
and the dog
Yeah,
was
get
in
it
the
right.
cage.
They just released the body cam footage. You guys didn't see that, obviously.
no,
No,
I
I
did not
didn't.
see
That
that.
might have to
Not
be.
on that part of the internet.
That might have to be the required viewing.
I was watching the Kobe Bryant body cam footage instead.
Oh,
Sorry.
Jesus.
Okay,
Wait, does that exist?
Yeah.
okay, we
Is
have
it
to
not
get
on
back
the
on track.
same page?
So now, basically, this conversation that Marion is overhearing is making her introspect further into her life, which is something she says at the beginning of the movie she doesn't do and tries to avoid doing, right? Then Ken's daughter arrives to visit Marion, and they go to
Nice.
visit Marion's aging father, the history professor that John referred to earlier.
I love that
And
scene.
tell us why, Jared.
I feel like everyone's probably been there with like an old family relative who like is still there mentally and still wants to be part of the world. But like, trying to still find purpose, and then is like, annoyed with like her brother who's asking for money. But also just like, I also thought it was the cool part of like giving away his deceased wife's stuff. And it was the quote is, sometimes a historian should not look at the past. That was the quote that I thought about getting on my ass right now. Like, that would be a good ass tat.
Okay, that's interesting because you seem to be missing the point of the film by saying that, but yeah. It is a good quote. It's interesting that
It's a
both of you
great
have
quote.
remembered quotes and shared them, which I'm actually taking as quite the compliment
And
to my
this
pick.
movie was really boring, so that caught me. That was weird.
We said we were going to start taking
Um,
notes more.
so yeah, so Marion and the father are very similar characters in this regard because, like Jared says, they have a tendency to avoid introspecting about their pasts. They both are very, like, as Jared said, he's mad about the brother wanting money, this sort of thing. Marion and her father are two peas in a pod, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
found him to be really curmudgeon-y and probably a bad dad, as he sort of reveals later in the dream sequence.
yes.
And overall, I just find them, I mean, he is very much like Marion, and they're just pretentious. I just get this huge pretension off of them. It's sickening.
And his life sounds so sad. He's like, oh, I go down to DC for this thing twice a
Smithsonian.
year.
He works at the Smithsonian or whatever.
I feel like I ran into a lot of old people who probably had that similar schedule during our time in undergrad with those like random boards we'd meet with.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're right.
they're like,
It's a common thing, but
they're like, I have 2 things to do this year. It's like go down to DC for the meeting, and that's it. It is sad.
kind of cool, but also sad. Yeah. Um, they go through photos, as Jared said, with like the housekeeper.
Yerp.
And this is another very interesting stylistic formal move by Woody. As they look at the photos, we are shown the photos in video form with younger act. So it's flashbacks of the photos as they're talking about the photos. Very cool move.
Yeah.
Or do we think it's tacky? Here's the
I
question.
thought it was cool probably because that was like the first time that's happened in a movie, or like a very early use of it. Not the
No.
first time it's ever happened, but I also didn't like it because it reminded me of like Wes Anderson.
Oh, I could see sort of like Wes Anderson vibes in it for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Is Wes Anderson taking a lot of Woody Allen influence? Not to
I
deflect.
don't know. I
derail
mean,
this.
everyone is influenced by their predecessors, right? I mean, to some extent.
Maybe. Maybe. Maybe.
Because
They're
not
both.
being a Woody Allen guy, I feel a lot of Wes Anderson in this movie. Weirdly, like just with the very like awkward, straightforward dialogue.
Yeah, I can see that. The stilted dialogue, flowery language, self-contained stories, often
Is
like very
stilted
like
dialogue, is that a thing?
isn't what do you mean like a phrase?
Stilted, yeah, like that's
Yeah,
is that
like
right? Okay,
it's like yeah.
Well, Woody
great
was.
Tim, what
explanation.
did you think about the
I
flashbacks?
mean, this is just me reading about it, but Woody was very influenced by Igmar Bergman
Yes,
during this time.
wild strawberries.
Wild Straw, specifically that film, I hadn't seen that, so I can't speak to it. But I know that Bergman does a lot of voiceover narration, so I assume that's where he's sort of grabbing that from. But I do like the how here are the photos, but she's sort of talking through the scene. I think it's great. It's a great device.
Okay, cool. We see a full flashback of Marion's father and Paul, her brother, where Marion's father is trying to force Paul to do some
Work
job
in
he
the
doesn't want to
box
do.
factory. Would
Yes.
you work at the box factory?
No.
Sometimes I think we're all just working in the box factory in our
That
days.
ear pod doesn't fit in your ear canal, does it?
No, it's not an AirPod. I had it loose because my ear's been bothering me since my flight.
Get some cans, dude.
Nah, it's fine.
So Jared thinks we're all working at the box factory. I do not think I would work at the box factory, and I don't think I do work at the box factory. Tim, how about
I'd
you?
love to work at the box factory. It's important that people get boxes and other paper
I
That's
supply
that
products.
can-do attitude we love you for, Timmy.
I think all of you guys are living in the box factory and working in the box factory because the box factory can go up in flames any moment. All of your lives can go up in flames any moment. You're contained by the box. And guess what? Your lives are bendable and foldable just like a box, too. And confined within these structures and limits. So you are the fucking box factory.
I'm in a
I'm not the
box.
box factory. I'm the goddamn box itself.
Yeah.
Um, cool. We also learned that Marion used to paint mostly watercolors of nature scenes. That's going to be important later on.
Check her privilege.
Uh, and we also see um, an older Marion talk to Paul about the argument that he. Okay, that's irrelevant.
I thought that was cool, though. It was the older
Oh,
Marion, though.
okay. Oh, yeah, it's older Marion, and she's talking to younger Paul. Is that how
Yes.
that is? Yes. Yes, that actually is cool. So now older Marion is in the scene with younger Paul, and they're discussing the argument that we just saw. That is a cool. Yeah, thank you, John, for helping me remember that. Then we see Ken's daughter wants to hang out with Marion when they get back from this trip to visit Grandpa, and Marion says no, which is just another sign of her distance from this girl who she really likes, or so she claims,
Right, and
right?
this daughter is really nice to Marion, like wants to be friends. I'm like, why are you friends with this really pretentious, uppity woman? I don't
Well,
see
she's
what.
desperate for her approval, is
Yeah,
what it
I guess.
seems to me like. Yeah, yeah. Because her mommy ain't around.
Yerp.
Yeah. Um, and then Marion says no to this offer to hang out and then proceeds to follow Hope, the woman that she's been eavesdropping on, around the streets of New York City.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep.
So now they've exited the just the therapy and nearby apartment thing, and now they're wandering around. She
Yerp.
runs into this lady named Claire, who is her high school best friend. They talk about Brecht plays, which Bertolt Brecht. We're going to talk about that later as well, so remember that, right? Jared, stop whatever you're doing on your computer that's not listening.
I'm listening.
Um, and then Claire, when they're at the dinner or at drinks, Claire and Marion, Claire feels like Marion is hitting on her husband. Remember this
Yeah.
scene?
It's a good
Yeah.
scene. I mean, she's right in some way where they're leaving her out of the conversation, but her friend was from the get go when she saw Marion, she's like, oh, this bitch.
I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. That felt like the classic, like you see someone at the grocery store when you're back in your hometown, and clearly one
You'd
of
be
you does not want to
intimately
talk.
familiar with that, wouldn't you, buddy?
All the time. All the time.
It's
I don't
tough.
invite them for drinks. I thought that was aggressive. Let's go get drinks.
I mean, it's
Well, it
the
was the husband.
80s.
That wasn't really
I mean,
her
it's the
vibe.
80s. What
Yeah.
else do you have to do? There's no.
That is true. Smoke, get drinks, commit adultery, and wait for faxes to come through or something.
Exactly. And what gray shirt am I going to put on today?
Sure.
Hmm. That's a crazy. The take that everybody was wearing gray. I don't know if that's so true.
I'm not going to go back and rewatch this because it's not worth a second viewing.
Everyone's in gray. Every person in the film.
Dude, I want that quote to be like on your bachelor party shirts. Smoke, drink, commit adultery, wait for facts to come in, wear gray.
If you want to make them, man.
Hell yeah,
It's got to be a
Such
gray
a
bro tank.
such a beautiful life to live. um, yeah. So yeah,
Historians should not look back.
yeah, so true. They get into a fight. Basically, Claire says that Marion did something similar with this other guy named David in the past, and that's why they're no longer friends. So now we're starting to see that maybe Marion is
A
doing things
bitch.
that are similarly abhorrent to what Larry
Yeah,
was
she's
doing, right?
selfish. She's a selfish person.
It's
Yeah.
classic academics and especially like philosophy professors. They think they're all like trained and high, mighty, and wonderkins, and they're just bad people at roots.
I don't know. They do. It
Yeah,
is
she's
funny.
we're definitely getting a fuller picture of her with each scene, and each time it's more and more unflattering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, this is random, but at one point my Tubi movie went to commercial and it came back and it told me what rating it was in. This is rated PG, so parental guidance, right? So imagine you
Yeah,
take your kid to this. How miserable would that kid be in the fucking theater? This is not.
Pretty
this is a
miserable.
this is a punishment of a movie.
And yet it's an hour, quick 117.
Thank God.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
good runtime. Really, it's packed. No, I don't agree with Jared, but I think children would despise this film.
No, for sure. And you do have to have like a certain temperament for Woody Allen films in the first place. You know,
yeah, I
you
get
have to
that.
be willing to put up with the pretentious references
Yeah.
and the high and mighty dialogue and the like oversaturated with themes.
Yep. Yep.
Right. This isn't for the faint of heart.
A week
Um,
of mine.
She visits her brother, right? Or what else
she
do we want to say?
visits.
There's more. There's more. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's the main thing that I wanted to talk about there. Then there's the reference to a poem. When does the poem reference happen?
There's like at one point after that, there's a cut to a maybe I imagine things, or maybe this was a Tubi commercial, but there's a cut. There's a cut to a panther in a cage for a second,
Yes.
and then there's a mask on the ground, and then there's a.
Yeah, this is
I
later.
remember the mask.
I thought this was right
You're
then.
jumping ahead. But the panther is exactly what I was about to talk about. So she talks about a Rilke poem. Oh, she goes home after this dinner, the drinks.
Ah,
She can't sleep. She reads the poetry book of her mother. She says, "Oh, there's the Rilke poem about the panther, which is then shown in the scene that you just described, Tim." And then she reads the poem that is her mother's favorite, which is another Rilke poem. And the quotation she reads aloud is, "For here there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life."
mm,
That's the quote that is the central point of the movie, you might say. So then she's at home. She's forgotten once again her anniversary with Ken,
Oh
and she
yeah.
suggests that they have a one-on-one dinner for their anniversary where they met, which is in Philadelphia. Next, we see her eavesdropping once more upon the woman named Hope. And then we get the strange montage, which is what John just described. We see a pregnant woman, we see a panther, and some great shots of Marion is just like kind of just like floating around sort of vibes, right?
yeah,
Remember this? She's like just wandering around the office.
yep.
Yep. That's the weird dream sequence type. It's not really a dream sequence, but yeah. Tim, do you have any thoughts on that? You seemed excited about it.
No, I was just well. I actually didn't really catch that whole stuff with the poem, so that now it makes more sense. I was trying to give meaning to the panther specifically. I was like, but
Yeah,
then
so the
I had no
Rilke
context to the poem.
yeah.
Here's something I wanted to see if what you guys thought of. Well, actually, here's some advice I got, unsolicited advice. One, oh boy, do not forget the anniversary. So she made a big mistake there,
Oh,
with, like no
absolutely.
gift or nothing special. So like this really set the ending of like what was the failure of their relationship very, very soon. Number two, the dinner, the like co-line dinners or couple dinners
Oh
on like a
yeah.
special date. Oh, I've made that mistake before. So like
What an
word to
idiot.
the wise, word to the wise. So that way, the champ doesn't bust your lip and whatever your situation is, Danny, like you just, make sure you get that personal time with them because those matter a lot more than you think.
Yeah, these weird
Yeah, I would never make that mistake,
these
but
weird
yeah.
older couples who are like, "Oh, every night is a meal with another couple." It's like,
Because they I don't know, they're not happy with each
oh,
other, so they have to have
absolutely.
other
Yeah,
people
you
with
get
them.
bored of each other. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Sick.
Um, then we
Wait,
cut
she gets
to,
distracted at that dinner too by a someone at the other
oh
table.
yes.
She goes, I was a pupil of one of yours."
No, wait, that's a different, that's, we're not at that dinner yet. We're just
Fuck.
talking about the planning of that dinner. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, right then.
So after the strange montage sequence, we cut to Ken's daughter talking smack about Marion, about how Marion's character is like rude or whatever, and like she always wants her approval. And then, um, and in that moment, Marion's character is watching the daughter talking smack. She's in the room. So this is like kind of part of the montage,
Yeah.
right? Once again, Woody's playing with where people are in space and in time, right? Okay. Um,
And she's saying, what is she saying about her?
she's saying like I really like her, but I just want her approval so much, and it feels like I'll never get it. That sort of thing.
And they say like she's cold or right.
Yes.
And somebody else, and that's what her brother had said through her wife. So
Yes.
that's another interesting. Multiple people are
And it's
saying
like,
these
is
things
this
about
real
her.
or is her mind telling her this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, so then Marion decides she's going to go on a walk, and she ends up at Paul, her brother's office. And she says, I want to repair the relationship. And he says, yeah, you're right. I do hate you. And he tells a story about her ripping apart his writing. He wanted to be a writer as well, and she said it was terrible. Anyone ever do this to you in your life?
No, but that's horrible. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah, it's
somebody
pretty
could
bad.
listen to this podcast and say that, and that would probably
Cheer it up, yeah.
be hurtful. And if somebody does say that to me, don't say it.
I don't
Jared, this
have
ever
that.
happened to you in your life?
Someone tear up my poems.
Like
No.
Not
something you worked
poems.
really hard on and like you put
Yeah.
your soul into, and then they immediately are like, "This is shit. This is
Danny says that about most of my writing, but that's okay. I'm not trained like him, so it's fine. I take it with a grain of salt.
it's." She
It,
said he says to
okay.
her, or no, she apparently said that it was embarrassing his work. That's a horrible thing to say. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I also would deflect it like when Danny does this to me, like, and he degrades what my accomplishments in work are.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's jealousy.
Yeah, sure. You have a lot. You think a lot of people are jealous.
They're just really jealous, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny to think about this complaint because if you play back all of the podcast episodes, the only one degrading someone else's accomplishments is you of mine, but whatever. Um, so now we get to the post-opera dinner that John was describing. Marion runs into a student at this dinner, and this woman is so positive and uplifting about Marion. Do we remember this?
Yeah. She,
Anyone want to talk about that?
well, she says, you were an inspiration to everyone in the philosophy department, and something like, oh, when you taught that class on morals and ethics, it was just so inspiring. And Marion's like, fuck. And the whole
Yeah, she's like, it
table,
changed my
you can
life.
almost feel the whole table go like, oh, morals and ethics. That must have been really, and it's clear that she is not very ethical through her actions.
Yes. Um, she doesn't seem happy about the praise, but the other people at the table are like, wow, that's really nice. Like, aren't you happy? And Marion's not happy about it at all, which is interesting. So, like, the one relationship she's had that's positive was with her student, and she derives no fulfillment from it.
Would you get fulfillment from that type of interaction, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I had one today on the last day of class. I had one, and it was like, nice. Yeah,
Mm.
for
Only
sure.
one this whole semester.
They don't usually say it until the end.
Yeah, yeah. Well, is it the like everyone? Are you done with all the rest of the classes for the week?
Yeah, this was the last
Oh,
day.
so what? One this whole semester. That's the impact you made. That's good,
I have
man.
16 students, and yeah, I'll
You
probably,
reached fun.
usually they do like nice emails after grades are in. They don't
Mm,
usually have the balls to do it in person.
On
mm.
ratemyprofessor.com.
Yeah. Um,
My professor had a
and
huge cock last semester. Did they
you
ever
can
write
see the
that?
Do you
imprint.
worry that Danny's gonna end up like her husband?
End up like her husband. Why her husband?
Do you
Like a
not?
short-lived man?
Well, do we just not see this like movie paralleling like a lot of his life?
I think it's much more, I'm more likely to be Marion than I am her
Yeah,
husband.
Mary. I was gonna say,
No,
Yeah.
dude, you're the
but
husband.
I don't think he is Marion. I don't.
In 20 years, you're gonna turn into the husband.
I,
Okay.
I'd rather be the
And you're
husband
gonna
than
be
Marion.
the senile, a lonely older grandpa who's raised terrible children.
I'm okay with that. He gets to go to DC twice a year, man,
Yeah, pretty sick.
and he's not
Talk about,
wearing
and he
gray.
gets to write about the Continental Congress.
His life sounds badass. I actually want that life. He has a
We know
servant.
because you currently live it. You already lived the old man's life. Anyways, oh, one other thing though about that, the moral and ethics part of it all, is that like it's a frequent like there are surveys about this and they show that ethics professors are the ones that are most likely to make unethical decisions
Wow.
in their personal and professional lives. And the argument here is that like it's because they're best equipped to make justifications for their
Oh
bad
shit.
actions.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's like a kind of a funny thing that Woody Allen does there.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
now
That
we get to the
Giving
that's kind of like
murderers a shield.
that's kind of like people who listen to jazz music are more likely to commit crimes versus people who listen to heavy
Is this
metal
a racial
music.
thing?
Wait,
No.
really?
Yeah,
This is a racial
there
thing,
was some
Tim.
study that people who listen to jazz music are more likely to like commit horrible crimes.
Do you think it's because of like they're more free thinking than a heavy metal listener?
I don't know. I think maybe like listening to all that jazz and boopity bop makes them go loco.
Jazz is classified as violent music, as like it's a cacophony of sounds and the chaos of it all.
Yeah, that's what the guy said last time on Fishy Film Friday. Dan's philosopher he brought up. He said
Oh yeah,
jazz.
Adorno.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Adorno.
I
Don't
like
forget to listen to our podcast, everybody.
that.
Okay,
All
now we
right,
get to the big old dream sequence. Does anyone want to do this or do I have to do the rundown?
dude, I
I
was
think I
terrible.
missed a little bit of it. I don't have the full rundown, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I love a dream
All right,
sequence.
so in the dream sequence, Marion walks into the therapy session that she's been overhearing, and Marion diagnoses the woman with, and this is important, self-deception, which is of course exactly what the grandpa is doing when he says no looking back in history, that sort of thing. And of course it's exactly what Marion's doing, is self-deception.
Yup.
And then the analyst says the woman's going to kill herself and has been trying her whole life to do so. Then Marion's father walks in and shares regrets about his life. He says he regrets things about his love life, his relationships with his children, and his focus on his career, which of course Marion and her father are two peas in a pod. Marion has the exact same regrets,
Yeah, and
right?
she says she was. Oh, he says that he was too hard on her daughter or something, which
Yep,
made her the
yep,
way she is, probably.
yep, totally.
Successful.
Then the
Succession,
dream
sort of like the
takes,
Succession dad.
that's interesting, yeah. Then the dream takes Marion to the theater where the woman that is eavesdropping on, Hope slash Mia Farrow, is there. And then on the stage, the scene plays out between Marion and Ken, where they're talking about the sex scene from the start of the movie. Remember, so like that conversation about fucking on the floor, now that's happening on stage.
Yeah,
And then Gene Hackman, Larry's character, arrives on stage. He says he's married, that he has kids, and he wrote a book. And he says he experiences feelings of deep regret and melancholy. Again, regret being a theme here.
Yeah,
Um,
and he said you inspired one of the characters to.
right, and well, Helnica or something like this.
I do want to mention
Um,
one thing.
yeah, go for it.
This is when a song plays. It's very beautifully picked. It's like
Yeah.
this famous symphony. I wrote it down? It's Sadie's Gymnopédie #1 or some shit
Okay, who's it by?
by Sadie. I don't know who that Satie. I don't know who this guy is,
Okay.
but it's familiar. Like I recognized it, and I think they call it
Hmm.
Marion's theme. But I think it is such a beautiful choice of song, and really is a great. I mean, it's like the one overture throughout the. It like sometimes comes in and out.
Yes. When you said it's melancholy is the title?
No, it's called
Oh,
Gymnopédie #1. And
oh,
gymnopédie apparently is some Greek word that means like frolicking naked Spartans or something. So,
sick.
but if you heard the song,
That's what
you
Jared does when he's at his army camps.
Bay showers.
Um, and then we also learn in this dream sequence that Marion's ex-husband, whose name is Sam, was her professor.
I thought it was
And
Bobby Bacala Sr. In this chair, but it wasn't. But I thought it was when I first saw it. You know, the
so
dad
Marion's
who smoked,
ex-husband,
you know, that dad who Tony makes
yes,
him do a hit and then he gets in an accident because he smokes too many cigarettes. And then
Bobby
yes.
I thought it was him.
And so ex-husband, her first husband, Sam, who was her professor and seduced her while she was a student, which, by the way, what is that parallel?
Your life.
Woody Allen's life.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
absolutely.
And you are Woody Allen,
He
especially
kills
Mr.
himself, we
Wally.
learn, after their
That
divorce.
is interesting. It is very parallel to the grooming of Woody.
Uh-huh.
Think Woody had ideations at some point of this?
Well,
I feel like Woody Allen could have like been a very like
Woody
someone
see
who might be on the edge.
I think Woody sees himself as Marion,
Hmm.
which is so interesting that he's created.
So Woody acknowledges he's flawed, you believe.
Oh yeah, I think this film is like him coming to terms with turning 50 and then all the mistakes he's made earlier in his life, which is scary because then he makes some horrible decisions
More.
right
Yeah.
after this.
It is interesting that he like is one coming to terms, Woody is coming to terms with his issues, but two, as Jared points out, like maybe accidentally or maybe intentionally revealing his own love life habits in
Mm-hmm.
this. And it's almost like, and this is generally my kind of feeling about Woody Allen, is that if you read him like charitably, he's like a genius because like he's like so self-aware,
Yeah.
so self-criticizing,
And
right? But
he like reveals his underbelly all the time, right? He's so
yes, that's what I was
honest.
going to say. So like I think actually he's not purposely doing that. He's just so good at making the arts that he accidentally reveals himself in these like incredibly insightful ways, and he's not planning to, is my read on the
Mm.
thing. Like I don't think that he meant for this professor thing to parallel what he's gonna do. Like that just
It's a
he's
Freudian
just making
slip.
shit. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Now we cut to another dinner scene. Um, and they don't have fun at this dinner scene. I don't actually remember this dinner scene, to be honest with you.
She's like, after this dream, she's completely wiped, right? She's not interacting at
Right.
all. And then the first thing, they get home and they fight. Like, why do we have to see people every night anyway? Which is what we were talking about earlier. And it's funny, the
Hmm.
first thing she does when she gets home is like she fixes a drink, right? She pours herself a little nightcap.
Mhm.
People were doing that. Like, people do not do that anymore. Boomers love to come home after an event and just like get a drink to go to bed. I mean,
Jared does this. He's on his third Michelob, he said.
but a beer is different than like they fix like they just put vodka in a glass and they're like, oh, this is nice. Or
Yeah, do
brandy.
you guys have bar cards in your
No,
house?
no.
I have a bar cart.
Yeah, they shouldn't have known that answer was going to break down that way.
Do you?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy behavior. I'm with you, John. And then they're also unhappy not only about like spending time not one-on-one at this dinner, but about the conversation they had at dinner. There's some disparaging comments made about ESP and parapsychology. Anyone remember that?
Yeah, because that's what they were
Oh,
talking about at the.
next thing you know, they're going to be talking about aliens landing and the moon is fake, right? But
And
of
Marion
course,
goes, maybe
the
they're right. Maybe they are right.
right. And so she's saying this because she's experiencing these things in her dreams and the eavesdropping that seems to be revealing to her something about her own life. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, the whole movie doesn't function without these sorts of concepts of ESP and parapsychology. Yeah. Um, and now Marion reaches her boiling point and she has a fight with Ken
Boiling point.
about yeah, that was for you. Um, and now we learned for sure that they are having a dry spell. It's not just they're not having sex on the floor, they're not having sex at all, right?
Yep.
I like what Ken said. He's like, this is normal for people.
Does he?
Right. He
Yeah, he's
does.
like, people have periods where they just aren't grabbing at each other the whole time. But as we find out later, maybe that was just a shield.
Right, because
It
he
was a shield. I do think he's maybe right though,
probably.
that people
Yeah.
have dry spells. Yeah.
He says in this scene too, I believe, he says, "I accept your condemnation," which is that's the
Hmm.
second time she hears that. She heard that from Gene Hackman earlier. So that's an
Nice catch.
interesting point as well, where people are constantly
Yeah.
telling her like, "God, fine, like I understand you're berating me." It's like,
Ah,
it's another one of her character flaws.
that's good, John. Flashback of Marion to hanging out with Sam, and they kiss with the mask on, which I also think is like really
Yeah, it's so
rich.
weird.
It's
I didn't
But
like
rich
maybe
that.
it's
image.
that she's wearing a mask at this point in her
That's
life.
100% what it is.
Right,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. Um, then uh Marion's having trouble finding a gift for Ken for the anniversary that she's still fucking up, right? Remember this?
Yep.
And she goes into an antique store, and what happens in the antique store? Jared, do you remember what happens in the antique
I
store?
don't remember
Come
this
on,
antique
what do you
store
think
at all.
happened at
Did
the
you watch
antique
the
store?
movie?
No, I remember this mask. I
Venmo me
thought that's
$4. You watch the movie.
what happened with the. I remember the kissing in the mask. What the hell happened in the antique store?
I
She's
don't know.
going to
You tell
buy the
me.
engagement gift.
And who does she run into there, Jared?
Gene Hackman?
You're
Mia,
such a
Mia
fucking
Farrow,
idiot.
Oh.
the
Yeah.
pregnant
John,
lady.
how about you tell us?
No, you're
Well,
asking a
I
guy.
don't remember what they talked about necessarily there, but I know they go out for a little meal after that. But she's
Right. Okay.
crying,
So
looking at
they
a painting, right? She's looking at
yes,
Mia
and it's
Farrow's
the
sad.
painting is of
Oh,
the pregnant
Hope.
woman that we see in the weird montage.
Uh-huh.
It's the
Yes,
Klimt
yes.
photo, and the woman in the painting is named
Hope.
Hope, which is the name of Mia Farrow's character.
Wow.
Yes, I
So a
remember that
lot
now.
happens right there in terms of like meaning. Um,
Yeah, I
Pretty
should have
cool.
paid more attention than.
There are like in the painting, there's like demons surrounding the pregnant
I don't know
woman.
about that.
I don't know. I have to look at that painting again.
And then the woman, Hope, the real life Hope, not the Hope in the painting, says that she misses painting and she used to do what?
Watercolors.
Watercolors. And Marion, of course, we learned earlier on, used to paint watercolors. So yes, as John said, Marion and the woman get to know each other. They go to a gallery together and then they have
I
lunch.
like that.
And at this lunch, in the conversation with this woman, Marion reveals that she has regrets and that turning 50 has been hard for her. She says she wishes she had a kid and that she almost had one with Sam, who killed himself, but
Mm-hmm.
he decided to have an
And she's
abortion.
drinking too much.
Yep. And
And
so she's starting to come to terms with her regrets here.
and
Yeah,
she
John, go ahead.
knows that Hope is the woman from the therapy session.
Yes, because she like
Had
peeked her
seen
head out
her.
at the door earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Crazy.
So this is kind of this is the moment when she's really like looking at herself for the
Yeah,
first
she
time.
admits she's really lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the epiphany of the movie.
And then she overhears Hope having a conversation with her therapist through the wall
Oh, fucked.
about meeting Marion, and Hope says she fears she will end up like Marion.
So bad.
I like that.
That's the stabbing in the side after Jesus is already up on the cross, you know what I'm saying?
Is she being a voyeur this while she's doing this?
I was gonna ask that at one point, but yeah, she's being a lawyer. She's 100% being a lawyer.
She goes,
And just like voyeurism always requires someone to also be an exhibitionist, it's almost like her act of voyeurism is allowing her to be an exhibitionist to herself, to do the self-reflection. Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
kind of sick.
Hope says I just don't want to look up when I'm her age and find my life is empty. Fuck. That's so fucked to
Fuck.
say. Even about a
I'd kill
stranger.
myself right then and there.
Even about a stranger. You don't say that about people.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're Jared, you do at least 5 times each podcast about your friends. But
Marion
yeah,
probably
Yeah,
paid for lunch. Like,
that is
probably.
true.
Good point. That's a good point. Unless, of course, there is no hope, but maybe we'll get there.
When
Um,
people pay for your lunch or a meal, does it like automatically make you have a better opinion of them, or is it just like cool, thanks for the meal, doesn't change anything else?
that's actually an interesting point.
hmm,
I don't know that it changes my opinion of them, actually.
it might without you
Sometimes it
realizing
makes
it.
it lower. So this actually happened to me recently. Someone paid for my bill and I was like not happy about it.
Really? Who?
Yeah, I'm not going to share.
Like a cohort or
I'm not sharing
is it
anything
me?
about this
It's
information.
his
Who's
No,
fam.
it's someone who
Devotee?
could. No, chill out. No, it wasn't that night, Tim, when we
Oh,
hung out.
okay,
It wasn't that
okay.
night. It was other time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would cut that.
Okay. Okay, so now I have a discussion question for us. This takes a surprisingly pro-life turn here. So it seems like a lot of Marion's regrets are about not having been a parent, and about getting the abortion. How do we feel about this pro-life turn? Are we okay with it? Does it make sense for Woody's views? Is that really what's going on? Is this really a pro-life take, or is it just regret more generally? What do you think?
Wait,
Sound off. This is a Catholic podcast.
how was it a
Keep in
pro
mind.
life view? How?
Because like a lot of her regrets center around not being a
Oh, oh,
parent
oh.
and her decision to have the abortion.
Gotcha. Jared, what do you
Jared,
think
you want to read us
first?
off as you're the
I okay.
non-Catholic of the pod?
So I was getting my notes ready for this. The church stands that yes,
As in pulling up ChatGPT to remind himself of what happens in the movie. Did
the
you watch
church.
it for real?
Yes, I did watch this movie last night. It was so boring, man. This was the one. I'm tired of these boring movies. Get me fun
You're back.
action.
Next one, you're back.
Yeah,
I
you're
know. I
back.
get
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah. This.
answer the pro-life question.
What was your actual question? I was going to give you the church's opinion. What was it? What was the question?
The question is this a pro-life angle? Are we okay with it? Is it not a pro-life
I don't
angle?
think it's a pro life angle. I don't
Okay.
think we're trying to peddle it. But the church does back Marion's decision that realizing she should
No,
have kept
for
the
sure.
child.
But like, do you think that, so why do you not think it's a pro-life angle?
I think it's more so just people looking back as like regrets in their life and like decisions. There's a lot of decisions she wished she could have done separate, and a lot of those decisions and like failed relationships have left her lonely somewhat.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like the only person she has somewhat of a close connection that's not Ken is her dad. Uh, and I think that might just be out of like process of elimination of like, is she really that actually close with her dad, or is this she's not the fuck up her brother is? And maybe she realizes that like a child could help resolve this like loneliness and this hole that she has in herself.
Cool. Tim, what do you think?
I was more interested in how this relates to Woody. I've
Okay.
rewatched a couple episodes of the Mia Farrow versus Allen documentary, and so it's a very
Yeah.
biased documentary, but
Oh yeah.
because it's only Mia Farrow's perspective. But she talks about how Woody didn't want to have a kid with her, like adamant, like I don't want a child with you at all. And it's around this time. And like getting pregnant he was not excited about it. If it was a boy, he was going to be like even more upset. He said he only wanted a girl, which is another weird thing that he wanted. And he got upset when it ended up being a boy. So it's maybe it's him coming to terms with it too, like the pregnancy if in real time.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Because he really gives the inclination in the documentary that he was just not, he's one of those old people where they're like, kids are gross. I don't want a kid sort of thing.
Yeah. They fuck up your whole life, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious. Um,
But
then we
I
learned
like the
that
church.
Marion,
What did the church have to
what?
say? What is the
Churches say,
church's
yeah,
what is the
oh
church's
he
she
thoughts
should
on
have
said
had
the
a baby.
was Francis a pro or against abortion? Pope
he was
Francis.
against
Against abortion.
Nah, not
yeah.
that liberal, loony liberal.
No, he's definitely against abortion.
Do you guys have at near my house? It was like by an old folks home, and they would protest with like pictures of aborted babies, like
Oh
on
yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
It was like every 3 days they would do that. All the old
Dude,
people.
because those old people need more trips to DC that for their conferences. They have too much free time.
And I remember being in elementary school, and I'm like, I shouldn't be seeing pictures of this.
Yeah, that is crazy. Okay, now we learned that Marion saw Lydia with Ken while they were at lunch.
Yeah, that good reveal. Oh my god,
So this is the reveal that
she was getting by another
Ken has been
woman.
cheating on Marion
With
with the woman that we saw earlier.
now, is this the
So
another
Marion,
woman, or is the another woman Hope?
well, yeah, that's hard to say who's the other woman here. Then Marion confronts Ken about his infidelity. He admits it. I think this is actually where the line comes in, John, that you said about what is it?
Uh
You condemn me, I accept your condemnation.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, maybe, yeah.
So then after this, Marion then goes to see her brother Paul again and wants to patch things up with him. Then she goes to see Ken's daughter and wants to remain friends with her despite them breaking up, right? So we're starting to see change of behavior.
She's groveling though.
Um,
She's like, "Oh, please stay friends with me." She's
right.
desperate. She's coming
And
off as
then
desperate.
this change of behavior continues. She goes, tells the analyst that she can hear everything that's been going on.
And then also asks for
Uh,
her, but she's terminated, which is an interesting choice of words, right? They say she's terminated the practice or something.
yes.
Why would you say that about
Yes.
your therapy sessions?
I don't know.
Could it be an abortion
A
comment
suicide, yeah.
or suicide?
Because he says she was killing herself all along or something. Um, then uh Marion also is able to start writing again, and she decides to read Larry's book where he describes his relationship with her. And the best moment, like the whole catharsis is complete. And she says, "This is the quote that I like, that is better than the one Jared identifies, and it has a completely different meaning. Is a memory something you have or something you've lost?"
Mm.
Do we have any answers to that question?
I say it's something you have.
Yeah, you have no, because you don't have memories forever. You could lose those. I like lost.
But then when you don't have the memories, are you just lost as a person?
Which would seem to be the opposite of the quote that you say you're going to have tattooed on your ass.
Eh,
I love a logical contradiction. Uh, okay. Um,
sounds cooler.
and so then Marion says she feels at peace after all of this has happened, and that's the end of the movie.
Thank God.
And now I have some more discussion questions or some comments.
Oh
Number
boy.
one, as John said, it pulls a lot from Bergman's Wild Strawberries, which is a person who comes to realize that their family member hates them, and then they go about through this whole
Ah,
process of self-discovery.
it's like confronting repression or whatever,
Regret.
right? Yeah.
Regret, yeah. So here's a question for you guys. What do you guys regret?
I regret.
My Mamma Mia pick, because I would not have watched this movie. Oh my gosh, terrible draft choice.
I regret when I was in Little League football, like the first year, the coach said, "Who wants to play center?" and nobody raised their hand, and he got really upset, and I felt, oh, I don't want the coach to be upset, and so I raised my hand, and then I played center. But I think I could have been a quarterback, and I went down
It's
this
very
path. I went down this
that's
path of
very
lineman.
Lachlan. Yeah. It's very Lachlan of you. You're a people pleaser.
Yeah, I just don't think I like yeah, I regret that as a 7-year-old. I think I could
Yeah,
have.
you could have been Shador.
I would have been a Shador.
Yeah, that's pretty sad, dude. That does
Now
hit
I'm
hard.
prank calling Shador. It's sort of like how time changes.
Oh boy.
A follow-up question to that is, what do you think you might regret? So, like,
Regret?
what do you think you might regret?
Like in the future?
Yeah.
What are you? You don't answer your questions. You never answer your
So,
Yeah.
like, sort
questions.
of the premise of the film is like we need to live a life where we don't, we need to live a life without regrets. But the problem is you can't know what you're going to regret until it's already passed.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's
so
No,
impossible
no.
to
it,
Like
know.
when I'm
so you
drinking,
might you
I like
might
know I'm gonna
ask.
regret this in the morning.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's true. You might like have a great memory from that that sustains you when you're an old sad man.
But you
And
know,
so
Matt,
I guess my
yeah.
question here is to put my cards on the table. Maybe this is the bigger question that we should focus on is trying to live a life where you won't have regrets a good way to live your life at all? It doesn't even make sense to try to live your
No,
life
No,
that
that's
way.
walking on
regrets are
eggshells.
experiences.
It's
Yeah.
walking on eggshells, right? If you try to do that.
So
Be
there might be a
okay getting
problem here with
hurt.
Woody's plot, perhaps,
Yeah.
or with
Walk on
his
fire, man.
thesis. Yeah,
Christ
because
didn't live
his
fearing
and
regret.
I guess I'll say a little bit more about why I think that
Yeah.
maybe now. So I have some takes from some some people. One moment. Let me pull up my little document here.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So, um, remember we talked about Bertolt Brecht at the conversation with the people
Yeah.
at the dinner where she runs into those people on the street?
Yeah.
Remember this?
Uh-huh.
So, Bertolt Brecht thought that people should not identify emotionally with characters on the screen, but instead those characters should promote rational self-reflection and a critical view of action on
Wow.
the stage. So you're not supposed to be like, oh, Dan is Marion. You're supposed to say, oh, I'm learning something from Marion that forces me to change my life, right? In the
Yes.
case of
Okay.
Brecht.
I see.
And then the way he does this, he says, no, there should be no, like, you know how Jared always wants a resolution of a film? Remember
Sure.
he said that in the last
Yeah,
one I
yeah.
flipped out?
I
So
like a resolution.
Brecht says the experience of climactic catharsis of emotion leaves an audience complacent. And so instead of doing this, he would employ strategies that would remind the spectator that a play is a representation of
Mm-hmm.
reality, not reality itself, which of course is exactly what occurs in the dream sequence when we see something that happened in the movie happen on a stage in a movie.
Oh,
Right. So
yeah.
that's the Brechtian move, is to make you aware that this is not reality, which makes you separate from the action and instead use it to think about your own
And teach you
life.
something.
Yes. Which means that if my reading is true, then Woody Allen is trying to make us learn, oh, you do have to examine your history. Oh, you do have to figure out like how to live a life without regrets. The poem quote that I read is what's the quote? It says something like, there's no way to hide, you have to live your life. You must change your life. That's it. There's no place that does
Oh,
not see you. You must change your life, is
yeah.
the big quote that the mother's tear-stained pages read, right? And so
It's almost like
that's like,
his therapy session, this film.
yes, he's saying you have to live your life in a different way. You have to change it. You have to avoid these regrets. And I'm just not sure that you can live a life that is that way, is I guess my point. So I think there might be a flaw there.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I like how you put that, Dan.
No, that was cool. I don't know if it's all about regret though, right? Or is it
Okay.
more about
Yeah, say more.
confront? It's more about confronting like emotional repression. She's so repressed at the beginning, right? Everything's surface level with her. It's sort of confronting that in order to restore missed connections and then act with more love. It's
Do
more.
you feel like she was living a quasi life, Tim,
What do you
in the
mean?
beginning?
Oh
I don't know.
yeah,
It seemed like they're going to have just dinners with friends, or like think, oh,
oh
are
yeah, it's
happy in our
all
second
surface
marriages.
level. There's nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing deep there.
So maybe that's what it was digging into.
So
It's
I think it's more
the
that
quasi
than regret, because I mean, of course she regrets things, but she regrets things because she's so repressed at the beginning.
Right. So there's another quote, which is actually from Ebert when I made that. Remember that classic meme of Jared as
Oh
Ebert?
yeah, Ebert. Hell yeah.
Ebert
What'd
says,
Roger give this thing? He must
he
have liked it.
says that the movie is the story of a thought. Get ready, Jared. You're going to love this one.
All
The
right, I'm
story of a
listening.
thoughtful person thoughtfully discovering why she might have benefited from being a little less thoughtful.
Wow.
She would have been, if she was just an ignorant person, she would have been happy in her life.
Ignorance is bliss.
It really is.
Very interesting little quote from Roger there. Roger there.
Choose the.
Because
This was before the
think
Matrix. Choose the.
I think Marion just wants to be a dumb little hoe through like at her core a little bit. She wishes she could just flip a switch and be a little dumb hoe, but she
Yeah,
thinks
and
she
like,
knows too much.
yeah, yeah. But I think the Brechtian thing is very interesting, and so it's going to lead me to my final like kind of set of questions before we get into final thoughts.
Plural?
Which is okay, so presumably if my reading is correct about Woody, right, and what he was trying to accomplish here, he hopes that this movie will, like the poem, inspire us to change our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's going for.
Yeah.
If the Brechtian thing is right, and if that poem is in fact the important part of the movie. And so my question is, do you agree? Should movies change your life? So maybe we could just do a quick answer on that. Tim,
Yes.
quick answer. Yes. Jared, do you think
Yeah.
movies should change your life?
Yeah, it's art.
Yeah.
Art can change your
Okay.
life.
Okay.
Reflection of
And then the
life.
follow-up question is, what movies have changed your life? And sub-part of that question, how long did the change actually last?
This is something I needed to be prepared to.
Yeah, I gotta think about that. I think like randomly, I don't know why this came to mind first, but City of God like changed my life. That movie's sick. I don't think in some
I think the quick, intuitive answer is the one that is probably the most truthful.
yeah
Okay,
that
yeah.
that one. And then what was
And
the
how
other?
long do you think the change lasted?
About
Is it
from
still doing it, or is it like it fucked you up for a week and now you're back
yeah
to
no
normal?
I mean it's a film that I think about maybe a month and then that's it. But more recently, Different Man I saw, and that was life altering in a way.
Wait, the monkey movie?
No, that's a different movie. Different Man is about the guy with the really bad facial, which we should watch that. Damn,
Yeah, that one was a banger.
that's on HBO. It's on Max now. But
Movie
that
that
changed my life.
changed
Where
my
it's like, oh, I
life.
shouldn't judge these horrific creatures. That's more of
Like
like,
the Jareds of the world.
yeah, I should treat them with like a feather.
I'm not a monkey man.
Not a monkey. What about you,
I
Jared?
like
What changed your life other
the
than Mamma Mia too?
the Green Mile.
Okay.
I really like the Green Mile. It made me really sad. Made me think about how you can, everyone could still be against you and think you're a murderer, a monster, and never give you a chance. But yet, all you want to do is help the world heal.
Cool. And how long did the change last?
I'm still thinking about it throughout my life today. But immediate impact. I saw that when I was in like 6th grade, and I felt like that for a good amount.
Oh yeah, I mean, Remember the Titans changed my life. It was big. What about you, Danny?
Um, so the earliest movie that I remember, well, okay, there's two. I'm not sure when they came out. 127 Hours I remember really fucked me up.
Hmm.
And
Mm,
Interstellar I remember really fucked me up
interesting.
when I was younger. And now that I'm older, Another Round really fucked me up. And Perfect Days really fucked me up.
Didn't see Perfect Days.
However, the Brechtian rant that I went on just then,
Yeah.
I have to say this movie's been sticking with me for I watched it last night. It's been sticking with me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I kind of
Very.
like but here's my other answer though, is that second part that I asked about how long does the change last? I feel like I watch a movie and it'll rock my world and I'll be like, oh my God. And it's the only thing I can think about. And it only lasts 24 hours, but it happens like
Mm.
2 to 5 times a year
Yeah.
and it never sticks. And so this reading of like, oh, this is what art is supposed to do is to like promote rational self-reflection. I'm like, okay, like I need to make it last longer this time. And so that's like kind of
Interesting.
my goal. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah. Okay. That's, I think, the end of it for
I'm
me.
so
So if we want to do
excited you
final
got
thoughts and
so
ratings.
I'm so excited you got so much out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's cool.
Got too much out of
This
it.
is what film's all about. This is what the pod is all about
That's what the pod's all
when it
about.
comes down to it.
This and making fun of each other.
Yeah, I like that. I went after Danny a little bit more today because I just wanted to make sure Tim was okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, so I'm ready for final thoughts unless you guys have any discussion
No,
questions.
that
Oh, wait, I
works.
maybe have one more.
Okay.
Maybe I have one more, which we have to do because it's Woody Allen. No, let's wait until we do final thoughts and ratings, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can go first, I guess. Right?
So, and then I'll go, and then Jared will go last since he's announcing the next
Okay,
one.
cool.
Mm.
Okay, so I do think Woody Allen is in a league of his own, right? He's kind of a goat, especially with these character study films that he does. I think it's incredible how well he portrays the female perspective. I mean, I'm not a woman, but I've read women writing about Woody, and they say it's so accurate. Like, I looked up to Annie Hall, like I couldn't believe it felt like it was me on screen. I think he does that again. Like, he could be a trans man the way he's writing.
Could be the Pope.
I mean, he portrays this. I bet if you showed this to a 50-year-old woman, they'd be like, "Damn, I kind of feel this way." And to make us, some late 20s, feel connected to that character is pretty damn impressive as well. And that in part is because Gena is acting her ass off. Another great, this 2 straight films, we have a female really carrying the film. And then I think the filmmaking is really beautiful too, as per usual for Woodward films. There's tracking shots. Sometimes they get really up close, and some of it was a little too on the nose. I thought that it was really on purpose that everybody was wearing gray, and I thought maybe he was trying too hard to say something about their emotional state or her state. And then, we talked about earlier, Woody is so pretentious sometimes, and it's like the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh, good God, I hate this woman, which I guess is on purpose. You're supposed to hate this woman. I don't get the references she's talking about, but there is some good meat there. There is something really satisfying about the end when I hated her the whole time, and then the last 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm actually softening up, and I can really see this character arc. And wow, they did this in an hour and 15 minutes. This is really impressive. These characters feel lived in. Woody did slap. I can sort of look past that he's a pedophile, allegedly, and that he married his daughter, sort of, but that's okay. I kind of like funny Woody better. I like when he's being a little jokester. But I'm glad I saw this, and I think I'm going to watch more from his little 80s jaunts. And also his more recent stuff. I don't watch that, but I'd be down. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I'm getting a 3.5. That's a good score. That's a very solid score.
Okay.
It was close to 4.
I feel like what you said did not match up with the number it got, but whatever. All opinions are valid except for
I think
Jared's.
that's just, I gave it, I think I'm a hard grader. I'm a hard grader.
Yeah.
That's above the average.
I agree with much of what you said. I do want to echo the shots are beautiful. Like, some of them are so good. That typewriter one where she's asleep on the typewriter.
Been
Dude,
there.
I would hang it on my wall. I would hang it on my goddamn wall. What else do I want to say? Oh, acting. Okay. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on the female perspective that's often commented about with him and this movie in particular. But yeah, I think you're right to say how much of it is his writing and how much of it is Gina. Because the other woman, the other movie I talked about, the Cassavetes one, people often say that is like, not only is that Gina's best performance, but it's one of the best filmic representations of a woman
Oh,
having
really?
trouble ever. And it's like, okay, well, why are they both? Or is it Cassavetes and Allen, or is it Gina? And I think it might be Gina. Acting her goddamn ass off, as you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible performance. I really like the themes. I obviously am a sucker for Woody because, like, he allows you to, a lot of filmmakers will hide their literary, artistic allusions, and he makes them very apparent,
Oh,
which is like
so
douchey, but
upfront.
also it like helps you engage with the film better, I think. Um, I agree with what you said, though. My reading of this film, like, despite the message I took away, the message that I took away doesn't really have to do with the film itself. That's just like my reading of the
Yeah.
film, and like my relationship to movies has maybe changed. But in terms of the movie itself and its treatment of the themes, I think at times it is a little bit too contrived, which of course is what Woody is so good at, right? Is like he's really hitting you over the head with it.
Yeah.
So I give it a 4 out of 5.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
I only gave it a half score less than you.
Yeah.
For me,
Let's hear what Jared has, baby.
Hackman was good. The
He likes
actors and actresses, they were good. I believe who they were. I did not like the dialogue. The stilted dialogue took me out of it. At first, I was okay with like her narration and like her. Would any of that be considered breaking the fourth wall? Or no, it's a self narrative. She didn't talk to us ever directly.
Correct.
Yeah, but the narration was okay, but that dialogue made me like it hurt. It felt like, I don't know if this was intentional by Woody Allen, and maybe you already mentioned this, but I just got bored. It felt like this was also meant for like almost a stage play or stage adaptation potentially. I could see that. Story development was pretty predictable in my mind. It's not like anything was shocking or surprising. I think I saw where the characters were going with the first setting, that you're eavesdropping on a therapist session. And usually that turns into something about yourself rather than like a new character introduction.
This isn't the first time you've just claimed that you know how every beat of the film is going to go.
No,
you just
at least I'm not saying the movie knew what it was.
Is it after you read the Wikipedia where you go, "Oh,
I
know how this is going to go"?
Blind. I went into this blind.
Okay.
I almost watched the wrong movie.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The parts I did not see coming, that dream sequence kind of threw me out a little bit, but I figured when they were doing like the live photo action things, like the photo scenes, that a sequence would make sense. And also I knew that I wanted them to bring in something with the actor character Lydia and her husband that she was hitting on. Besides that, like its lack of resolution, or if we even want to claim there was even a minor resolution, that she said she's going to treat people better or her build a better relationship. I don't really give a shit whether that happened or not. It was just kind of like it didn't strike with me, Danny. Like I would have enjoyed talking at a coffee shop to a really like fucked up person for an hour and a half than watch this movie ever. And I would have more. I'd get more meaning out of life and how to live talking to like a crackhead in Canton for an hour and a half than what Woody Allen was able to give me on this. That being said, runtime was appropriate. I did enjoy some of the, just scene transition made sense. It was evenly paced. I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Nice. And that's
it
why
amazes me how every time he does this, he completely misses the point. Like I did that whole rant about how you're not supposed to get a resolution, it's not supposed to give you a set meaning, it's supposed to prompt reflection, and he goes, I would rather not be more entertained by something crazy than have to think about my own life, which is exactly the quotation that he wants to get tattooed on his ass. Like it's incredible how much he misses the point. It's like a baseball hits you in the face and you're like, is there a baseball coming?
Whatever. It was so boring. I would rather watch.
You literally might be one of the dumbest people I've ever met.
I had to put subtitles on because how boring it was. I didn't want to listen to them. I would rather watch a foreign film.
Oh, come on now.
Now, okay, the other question I was going to ask is, like, do we think this movie is hidden in the troves of Woody Allen's filmography because of Scandal? Do we think this might have a better reputation if it weren't Woody's? How do you think your interpretation / engagement with the film changed knowing that it was Woody Allen?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like lowered my score because Woody. Like, I'm gonna be frank, like he freaks me out a little bit, and so when I see his films, it kind of gives me the yuck because I'm like thinking about that the whole time, or some of the time. Apparently, it was not well received when it came out. Critics didn't like it initially, but people have found it later as this diamond in the rough of, this is one of Woody's best. So it's sort of like an underrated flick, apparently.
Because like my first experience when I didn't know it was him, like it really was crazy.
Wow.
When I like learned.
Yeah.
I was like, this is,
because it doesn't seem him.
It has none of his. Yeah. I mean, it has the pretension and the dialogue, but yeah.
Okay.
So, Jared, you want to tell us what our next movie
Thanks
is?
for walking us through that, Danny. That was a good one. I think we actually got to.
It was a different pick. It made me expand my palate, so I appreciate that, Danny. Thank you.
We've expanded your palate quite a bit. I bet you're ready to eat a lot of different cuisines now after this.
Speaking of different cuisines and eating, this
Ratatouille.
Not another food movie.
Something to do with the French. It's actually French Canadian. I came across this. I've been wanting to watch it, so this gives us a perfect opportunity. It's called The Decline of the American Empire by Denise Arcand.
I don't know
Is
this.
this a documentary?
No. It's a sex comedy drama film.
Okay, don't say anything more. The
All right.
Decline of the American Empire?
Yes.
1986.
Yep. 1986.
Nice. What's it on, by the way?
I don't know. You'll have to figure that part out.
How'd you come across this?
I've been looking at different like Canadian film. I've been kind of playing around with some Mike Myers lately, and then this came up into a search, and then I found out it was very well regarded in a lot of the film community of the '80s, and it's very well known in Canada supposedly, and it's like talked about still today in parts of Quebec.
Okay, it's on Prime
Cool.
Video.
All right,
Interesting.
let's do
Yeah.
it.
You might have given something. Have you seen it before?
No idea. I might hate this.
I'm guessing you will if it's a good movie.
It's in French.
It's in
What?
French.
Pretty sure it's in
Oi,
French.
sacre bleu. Cool. Good.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us for this installment of Fishy Film Fridays. Next time we see you, there will be a new pope, and he might be a member of this chat. No
Ooh.
fish in the film that I can recall. Anyone remember any fish?
I didn't catch any.
I didn't catch a fish.
But definitely a Catholic movie because of the pro-life stance. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
God bless. He has risen.